Howdy folks, and welcome to another episode of Mingles with Jingles, and today's is a very special episode because today is my birthday. That's right, I just dinged level 55. 3 more levels and I can go to Outland. And while all of you non-World of Warcraft players are trying to puzzle that one out, let's start off today's show with a quick word from today's video sponsor. You're probably aware that thousands of companies are collecting, aggregating and trading your personal data without you knowing anything about it. They get this information from data brokers. Now, you have the right to request data brokers delete what information they have about you and protect your privacy. The bad news is you probably don't even know who these data brokers are, and even if you did, it would take you years to do it manually. Every month, Incogni sends me a privacy report detailing exactly what kind of heavy lifting they've been doing for me, and has successfully managed to remove my personal data from the records of 183 data brokers, a process which, even if I knew where to start in the first place, which I didn't, would have taken me more than 137 hours of my precious time to do by myself. All you have to do to get started is head over to incogni.com/jingles and use code JINGLES to get an exclusive offer of 60% off. Create your Incogni account, tell them whose personal data you want removed, and just let Incogni take care of the rest. They'll keep you up to date with the monthly progress report, and they continue checking any data brokers that they have contacted to ensure that they remain in compliance. So that's incogni.com/jingles, use code JINGLES at checkout, and get 60% off your Incogni plan. So, yeah, 55. Remember a year ago, I didn't think I was going to live to see 55. I was dying of bowel cancer. I mean, I can laugh about it now. But, yeah. Remember, this, of course, is what killed my best friend Eddie the year before. But the surgery was successful, and I've got my colonoscopy to check and make sure that it is gone for good. Actually, in 2 months, in May. I am so not looking forward to that. I mean, it's better than more surgery. The colonoscopy itself, the procedure is really simple. It's the prep for the colonoscopy that's no fun at all. They have you on laxatives for the 2 days before, and oh wow, that stuff's effective and fast acting. The nurses say the worst thing about it is you might not like the taste. I didn't mind I really didn't mind the taste. It tasted faintly of lemons. It wasn't that bad, but my god, that stuff acted quickly. Like within 20 minutes of taking the laxative, I was shitting through the eye of a needle. And for the 2 days before the procedure, once on the laxatives, I didn't dare stray more than 10 metres away from a toilet. And you can't trust your farts. If you think you're about to fart, go and sit down on the toilet to do it, because it's probably not a fart. So yeah, that was fun. But like I say, the procedure itself, it was really simple. They don't knock you out for it, but you are sedated. You're conscious enough to be able to respond to instructions from the medical team while they're busy having a good bougie around up your arsehole. They actually shove 2 tubes up your arse. Oh, this is kind of funny. So obviously one of the tubes has got a camera on the end of it, so they can see what's going on up there. But the other tube is pumping your guts full of sterilised air to inflate your bowels, so they can actually, get the camera up there. So the whole procedure is basically one big, long, 20-minute wet fart. And I can sort of, because I was conscious but sedated, and I can kind of remember the surgeon saying, for God's sake, stop farting. I would have to try to hold it in so my bowels would stay inflated. Because I was farting so much, they were running low on air. So, yeah. But, I mean, I've got that in May. And if that's the worst thing I have to look forward to, I'll be very, very grateful, because let's just not find more evidence of cancer, and I don't have to go through the whole surgery thing again. I mean, if I do have to go through the surgery thing again, then, it's better than dying. But I don't have that many guts left, and if they have to cut more out, I mean, my lifestyle hasn't really changed that much. I was very, very lucky. First, because we caught the cancer good and early, and second, because they only had to remove a relatively small section of my bowels. And it took about a couple of weeks to get full bowel function back. But I did get full bowel function back. I haven't had to, I'm not shitting into a bag for the rest of my life or anything like that, so it could have been substantially worse. Although I'll tell you what, I do fart a lot more. And they are loud. I used to be able to sneak them out. Not anymore. Now, if I fart now, everybody within a half-mile radius knows about it. But, you know, like I say, better than the alternative. So fingers crossed, I'll have to have the colonoscopy in a month and a half, 2 months-ish. And hopefully they don't find anything. So, yeah, like I say, it could have been an awful lot worse. In other news, man, this is starting to get kind of depressing. I've got high blood pressure now, so I'm on high blood pressure medication. I've had to go back on the diabetes medication. I am officially diabetic again. Although I think the only reason for that, because I haven't actually changed my lifestyle or anything. You know, I've maintained the healthy, you don't want to be diabetic diet and lifestyle that I adapted to. But I stopped taking the diabetes medication. So I'm not as badly diabetic as I was the first time I was diagnosed, but I'm still over the line. So I'm back on the diabetes medication. But it's, I mean, you know, I feel fine. I need to stress this. I don't feel ill, and the high blood pressure medication is just precautionary. Some days my blood pressure is fine, sometimes it's a little bit high. I don't have raging high blood pressure or anything, but I prefer not to develop raging high blood pressure, so more diet and lifestyle. Seriously, getting old sucks. I don't recommend it to anybody. But, you know, like I say, it is better than the alternative, so I should probably stop complaining and just get on with it. Speaking of getting on with it, let's have a look at what's been happening this week. Not a huge amount, actually. I mean, there is and there isn't. There's a lot of Monster Hunter Wilds came out, sold 8 million copies in 3 days. It was the fastest selling game in Capcom's history. Riddled with bugs. Because of course it is. It's a AAA game release. Nearly 70,000 Steam reviews. Almost 40% of them not positive. So, yeah. There's a patch, because of course there is, coming out, which, if I'm reading these patch notes correctly, this just seems... I mean, I haven't played Monster Hunter Wilds. I never played the first game either. But apparently one of the things that you can do in it, which is key to taking down monsters, is strategically lopping off various different monster body parts in the correct order. And you can't do that. So there's a patch coming which promises to fix the issue where you target a specific body part and attempt to lop it off, and a different body part that you weren't targeting ends up getting dismembered. And which, you know, seems kind of key to the way the game's supposed to play. So that's getting patched out. I think actually today, I think the big patch for Monster Hunter Wilds comes out. But yeah, whatever, anyway. Anybody else noticed the news that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 are getting remakes? Yeah, I didn't care either. I mean, again, you know, like Monster Hunter, I understand that Tony Hawk's was an extremely popular video game series. In fact, my friend Eddie absolutely loved it. When they remade Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, he was playing nothing but for months. You know, kind of reliving his childhood, but I didn't care. Just not my kind of game, regardless of its popularity. And I suspect that if you're sitting here watching Mingles with Jingles, you probably like the same kind of things that I do, and you probably don't like the same kind of things that I do. So most of you probably aren't interested in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 remake either. However, stick with me, because it's not so much the news that they're remaking Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. It's something else that I noticed in the pre-release hype that really wound me up. Although it didn't surprise me, because it's Blizzard Activision. Because there really is just no end to Activision's greed. So, let me just quickly flash up my Blizzard launcher, because that's where I saw the news. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. Pre-purchase Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 now. Return to the legendary franchise with more skaters, new parks, gnarlier tricks, eardrum-shattering music, and more. That's what it says now, if you flash up the Blizzard launcher. But a couple of days ago, when they first started pimping Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, it said something different. Most of it was the same. It said pre-purchase Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 now. The keyword here, of course, being pre-purchase. And as an encouragement, as an incentive to pre-purchase the game, it said that people who pre-purchase would also get exclusive access to the Foundry demo. Wait, what? They're charging money to get access to a demo. Am I just reading this wrong? And if I am, why did they change the announcement? Why did they remove this part of the announcement feature? You guys do understand, right? And when I say you guys, I mean Activision, not you guys. That demos are supposed to be free. They're there to demonstrate. I mean, that's why they're called demos. They're there to demonstrate your game. They're there to generate interest. Traditionally, it's been a way for independent games developers to actually generate some hype and word of mouth about their game. They release a free demo of the game. In fact, on Saturday, I played through the free demo, still free, still being updated actually, of Into the Dead Our Darkest Days. I've actually been playing quite a lot of independent game demos over the last couple of months, and most of them have been absolutely fantastic. And the one common feature that all of these demos share is that they're free. That's the whole point of a free demo. It's free. And Activision, of course, are actually charging you money. You have to pre-purchase the game in order to unlock access to the demo. Wow. I'd like to say I'm surprised, but of course I'm not. It's Activision. In fact, the only thing I find surprising about any of this is that Ubisoft weren't the first ones to try it. Or Electronic Arts, for that matter. What is going on with Electronic Arts? I mean, they've been keeping their heads down a lot lately, haven't they? There hasn't been much negative news about there hasn't been much news about Electronic Arts at all recently. I mean, there was a brief kerfuffle a couple of months back when EA's president made some noises about expecting AI to replace all of his employees or something. I don't think anybody really saw this as news, because it's Electronic Arts, and replacing their staff with AI is just another way of Electronic Arts getting rid of successful game development studios. I mean, shutting down successful studios is what Electronic Arts does, so this didn't exactly come as news to anybody. I mean, that's just another day, another Electronic Arts story, but, I mean, other than that, Electronic Arts have been remarkably quiet. They've kind of just been sitting back and allowing Ubisoft to quietly self-destruct and steal all of the negative headlines. So, I mean, it's not that I don't think Electronic Arts are up to no good, it's just that they've been keeping very, very quiet about it. Anyway, don't worry, Electronic Arts are the gift that keeps on giving. I'm sure they'll be back. And not in a good way. Oh, do you remember Robocop Rogue City? I mean, it was a really, really good game. It was way better than I was expecting it to be. It's not exactly an independent game, but it wasn't a AAA release either, which is probably why it was so good. I mean, it wasn't great. You know, we're not talking Baldur's Gate 3 or Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty or anything, but it was a solid, fun, entertaining AA release that I appreciated, well, not just for the solid gameplay, but the way that it was true to the philosophy, if you like, of the original Robocop movie. You know, it leaned really into that totally non-subtle Paul Verhoeven 1980s political satire thing that he pulled off so well in the original Robocop movie, and they did the same thing in the game. And of course, you know, you're playing Robocop, so what's not to like? Well, it's getting an expansion. I don't know if expansion's actually the right word. I mean, it's technically not a sequel. They're calling it a standalone expansion, which sounds like you won't actually need to own the original game in order to play it, and that kind of sounds like a sequel, but, well, they're calling it an expansion, so we'll go with expansion. In which, apparently, OCP are building a mega tower, calling it the Omni Block or something like that, in which they're going to move all the residents of Old Detroit while they tear Old Detroit down and then rebuild it as Delta City or blah blah blah, whatever. Surprise, surprise, the new building is crawling with crime, and Robocop gets sent in there to deal with it and gets trapped inside the building or something like that. So it's sounding an awful lot like the movie The Raid. And if you haven't seen The Raid, first of all, shame on you, go and see it, because it's absolutely amazing. But it also sounds a lot like the movie Dredd, the Judge Dredd movie from 2012. Same plot, very, very entertaining, and I can see it working really, really well as a Robocop game, because, well, Robocop was basically based on Judge Dredd in the first place. And the idea of Robocop being locked into a mega building, just chock full of lawbreakers, which is basically the plot of the Dredd movie and the Raid movie the year before that. So this standalone expansion to Robocop Rogue City is coming out sometime this summer. So probably in a couple of months. And I'm definitely going to be playing it because, well, I really, really enjoyed the first game. So more of the same can't be a bad thing. Speaking of games that I've been really, really enjoying, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which... Let me just have a quick look at Steam and see how many hours I've put into this. 67 hours, yeah. Yeah, I've been putting quite some time into this and really, really enjoying it. And it's almost certainly going to be the next video series that I do once I've, and I'm almost at the end of it, completed the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle playthrough. I surprised myself with how much I've been enjoying Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, because I really couldn't get into the first one. I mean, I tried, but it's strange because it was the combat system that put me off the first one, and it's pretty much exactly the same combat system in the second one, but I'm still really, really enjoying it. And there's no shortage of stuff coming out for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 as well. There's a patch coming out which has 34 pages of patch notes. And I really don't... I mean, the game works. It's not like it's riddled with bugs or anything, so I can only guess that this is 34 pages of quality of life enhancements and additions. And then, of course, there's at least 3 DLCs have been announced. It's fair to say that the developers, Warhorse, are committed to maintaining support for this title, which is great news because it is such a very, very good game. And I cannot wait to start putting my video playthrough of it up on YouTube. It's an amazingly good game. I've already sunk 67 hours into it, and I'm still in the starting area. So it's huge, and it looks great. And you don't need any fancy graphics card to run it either, because it runs on the Cry engine, and it doesn't even support ray tracing. So, you know, it'll basically run on a toaster. So all of that coming up once I've done the Indiana Jones playthrough, which is probably about 4 or 5 videos away from completion. We're almost there. Well, anyway, moving on. Who here uses... Well, actually, I was going to ask who here uses Discord, but given that a couple of years ago Discord was valued at $15 billion, it's probably a safer question to ask who here doesn't use Discord. Immensely popular app, it's effectively replaced internet forums, and certainly a lot of game developers, Wargaming for example. The official forums have been gone for quite a while now. They've shifted over all their community support to their own Discord channel now. And that's pretty much the case for most big games developers. I mean, pretty much everybody has their own Discord channel. I mean, I do. We've got the Salt Mine Discord, although, I mean, technically I do, but also I don't. I don't actually run it. But that's pretty much the case. If anybody who's anybody has their own Discord server, any kind of game that has any kind of community, that community will have its own Discord server. Discord is basically great, but no good thing ever lasts forever, of course. Stand by for Discord to start getting a whole lot worse, because anything that's valued at the kind of market value that Discord currently enjoys, and I'm not quite sure what their exact market value is these days, but in 2021 they were valued at $15 billion. And the news just broke, although I stress that it's not confirmed, but it's also probably not wrong, that Discord is in negotiations with investment bankers to go public. And you all know what that means, don't you? Because as a private company, Discord can basically do what they like, and what they like has been to ensure that their users, you and me, get a good service. But as soon as they float their IPO or initial public offering, they become a publicly traded company with shareholders, and they stop being responsible for ensuring that users like you and me enjoy a decent service, and they start becoming responsible for ensuring that the shareholders get a return on their investment, which means watching the number go up, which means the enshittification of Discord is about to begin. So years from now, we'll all be looking back on today as the golden age of Discord, when it was good and it was just a thing that everybody could use and enjoy. And it didn't cost you anything if you didn't want to put money into it. But mark my words, when Discord goes public, those days will be coming to an end. Every channel that you subscribe to will have a cost associated with it. Everything that you use on Discord that you don't pay for will get progressively shittier and shittier in an effort to entice you to put your hand in your pocket and start paying for it, in the same way that YouTube started flooding every video with multiple adverts at around about the same time they started floating YouTube Premium, the ad-free version. Yeah, funny how that works. Manufacture a problem in order to sell you a solution. And mark my words, the exact self-same thing will happen with Discord the instant it becomes a publicly traded company. So enjoy it while you can, because it's about to get a whole lot worse. And on that depressing note, happy birthday to me. No special plans for the day. I'm having myself a steak dinner tonight, and that's pretty much it. But hooray on surviving another year. Hope you all enjoyed today's episode. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. And as always, take care. And I'll catch you next time.